Hi, fellow nonprofits. You know, Donald Trump's family members are reacting differently to his ongoing legal troubles. Tiffany Trump and Donald Jr. show subtle signs of support, while Ivanka looks like she's enjoying vacate out in Florida, and Barron, as usual, remains out of the spotlight, although I did hear he's a really good basketball player. However, Eric Trump has taken somewhat of an unexpected turn. Eric recently engaged with self proclaimed prophets Julie Green and Clay Clark in a video shared on YouTube. And well, Green claimed divine protection for Donald Trump and prophesied that God was on his side, even referring to him as God's David. Now, she has been known for her strong support of Trump in the past, but her predictions, such as indictments against him falling apart, him winning the last election, have raised a few eyebrows. Eric's unconventional approach highlights the diverse responses within the Trump family to their father's legal woes. This article is entitled Eric Trump is Coping with Dad Donald's Indictments by Turning to a Divisive Resource. And it comes from sheknows.com, was written by Delilah Gray, and was published September 10th, 2023. Infidel, would you want to take it from there and tell us what you think about this?
Well, I've got to say that when I first read this, I wasn't sure if I was more disgusted about the really bad prophet fleecing money. It's not a really good act, but they're obviously successful, or the half-wit appearing to buy into it. I mean, this group that runs this shit show, the ReAwaken America, they love spreading QAnon conspiracy theories and COVID misinformation. The truth is, they're pretty much a full-on misinformation campaign machine. Now, I'm not sure if Eric is seeking comfort in a time of fear or if he's just whipping up his base. I do think it's fear. Eric's never been accused of being the smartest person in the world. Now, as you mentioned, that Julie claimed that God's going to take care of these four indictments and that they'll explode and all fall apart, and also that she did hedge her bet with the new prophecy of he's going to get indicted again. And on this is one of the prophecies I expect that she's actually right about. Even a false prophet gets it right sometimes. I mentioned one of the episodes where Eric goes off on a tangent with Biden targeting his family and his father on indictments. He's not very smart or very witty, but Julie told him he's not going to forsake you. He's not going to let this continue. As you mentioned, she's given him the terms that all those people want to hear, including him. And she, as you said, is God's on his side. He's his David, and David's pretty much God's favorite in the Bible. God clearly had a type, a womanizer, a cheat, and a liar. Now I'm not sure if I'm talking about Trump or David, but I guess it really doesn't matter. So, Jimmy, what do you think?
Yeah, this is a scam if I've ever seen one. And I'm sure she's just milking the Trump teat for every dollar it's worth while she can, targeting the same base that Trump has with his $100 NFT trading cards, his red MAGA hats, and donation solicitations to pay for his legal fees. How is she any different than any other religious scammer? She's really not, except she has made some very oddly specific predictions which have not come true, and she continues to do so. She predicted Nancy Pelosi would die before the 2022 elections, that Hunter Biden would be indicted for laundering money from foreign countries for Obama and Joe Biden. Well, instead, he was indicted on charges relating to not paying $1.5 million in taxes and illegal possession of a handgun. Even so, this was a troubled man. So her predicting that he would be in trouble and getting that wrong just goes to show the scam that underlies it. And he's kind of low-hanging fruit. And this kind of prediction fell far short of being anything close to miraculous. The same goes for the Nancy Pelosi prediction. Green probably thought due to Pelosi's age, she could sneak in a lucky guess. But it looks like Nancy outlasted God's plan. Who would have figured that God's plan has holes in it? And then her prediction from August 7th that Chuck Schumer is about to be indicted for a great many things. Still waiting on that. Another ridiculous proposal that a general will be indicted in the news and expose the truth. Well, that's pretty likely, considering we've already seen that happen. I mean, one of Donald Trump's closest advisors, a former general, I don't know if he exposed the truth, but he was certainly in the news, and it was for anything but the truth. Green is appealing to the same uneducated and or willfully ignorant religious base that is desperate for a savior to uphold their bigoted and tribal views. These are the people acting as an anchor to the ship of progress, trying to sail to a better future. Rather than join in with the rest of us, she's chosen to con millions of constituents into giving her money. Where have we seen this before? Kelly, what say you, good sir?
I can't. Yeah, just like you said, that this appears to be a complete grift, and I can't decide if she is pulling a grift, Julie Green here, as you mentioned, or if she really and truly believes the BS that she's spouting. I mean, if she is grifting, she is really good at it. She's really sincere, and it makes me wonder if she. I mean, is she delusional? Does she believe this crap that she's spreading? Because, I mean, that brings up another problem. If she really does believe this stuff, I mean, and some of this stuff is truly delusional. This could be somebody who's not. I want to couch my language here. This could be somebody who's not in a good mental frame of mind, leading people who are vulnerable and are vulnerable to being led into something that they probably shouldn't be led into. I feel like if she is grifting or if she's not grifting, she's still taking people in a direction they shouldn't be taken into. She's stealing money from them. Let's face it. That's what this is all about, is getting the money from them. And I hate to see somebody who is not in a good mental frame of mind leading other people who may or may not be in a good mental frame of mind. It's kind of scary to me. So, Infidel, you want to follow up on that?
Well, I've got to say that I'm very hesitant to give her the benefit of the doubt and say this. She believes this. I do not for a second believe that she thinks this is real. She is in it for the money. She is in it. And she's in it all the way. And that's really what it boils down to. So many people, they're in it. They're making their money. And on the other side, you have the people who continue to dedicate their time and effort in good faith. Gullibly, from my perspective, but they're doing it in good faith. They're giving their money. They think they're doing what's right. She's taking advantage of this. And in turn, their good faith is being taken advantage of by this grifter, which to me just makes her that much more despicable. Because oftentimes we're not just talking about people in excess. We're talking about people who are actually making choices, difficult choices in their family over things that people like her and Eric Trump oppose, like universal health care or living wage. And I know these are somewhat off topic, but there are people who are making those hard choices, who are giving their money to charlatans, to people who are going to because they want a better jet, or they want this or they want that, or they want to see the next person in power and they want enforced Handmaid's Tale or something worse on this country. It's not in our self-interest. That's the bottom line. And when I see this, the heartbreaking part, as much as it makes me angry at her and makes me think that, yeah, Eric really is as dumb as they say he is. The real loss is the people who are donating their money in absolute good faith. That's the ones that make it absolutely despicable. Now, sorry, I'll quit ranting. And Jimmy, what did you have to say about
that? The rant was completely appropriate. She is leading people to harm themselves, but also to actually harm others. And we've seen this play out in our politics in recent years. And it's kind of a scary thing. On that note, I want to kind of read a few of her prophecies, if I may, and show you what I'm talking about as she kind of builds up into this almost anarchic and apocalyptic like kind of murderous tone. So on August 29th, and by the way, a lot of these predictions are oddly vague, and I say oddly in air quotes, but basically just giving enough so that she can kind of maybe hook something once in a while. August 29th, my children, Waves are coming. Yes, waves of truth are coming to this earth. Every coming wave will be bigger and last longer. It will become increasingly harder for the enemies to fight the waves and keep hiding the truth about what is really going on. On September 1st, you will see the swamp, that deep-rooted establishment that infiltrated and embedded itself into your nation. Oh, United States, their roots run very deep and dark. But I am unearthing the trenches they dug, where they hid many things. By the way, these are supposed to be the words of God coming through her. And this sounds like a horrible, horrible person to worship. I go on, or I continue, excuse me. Hold on, my children. A death is coming. A death of a leader is coming. A death of a politician is coming. A death of a rising star is coming. A death of a senator is coming. A death of a congressman is coming. A death of a judge is coming. Great sorrow is coming for all on the side of the left who are on the side for death. A great harvest is coming that cannot be stopped. Then she goes on to say, Merrick Garland and Michael Morrell, the former interim director of the CIA, who, by the way, runs a great podcast called Intelligence Matters, their clock is about to run out and justice is about to be served. Ladies and gentlemen, these are death threats. They're being made against members of our government. This woman should not be legitimized by a presidential candidate, and she should at least be investigated or warned of this kind of rhetoric. Although I don't know if that could have already happened. I mean, who knows if somebody's looking into her. Regardless, posting these kinds of things on her website, saying that people are going to die, congressmen, senators, I mean, these are nothing short of death threats. And, Infidel, just like you said, people who are desperate, people who are vulnerable, they get roped into this kind of thing, thinking that this is acceptable. And this is how this mass hysteria starts, and how we as a democracy really fall victim. Finally, I want to go on to say, August 4th, she says Kazakhstan will be in the news big time. Kazakhstan? Why are we worried about Kazakhstan? I mean, this is the country of Borat. Kazakhstan has nothing to do with anything. They are number 42 in the world economy, but they're 480 times smaller than us. We throw them a bone every year, 2.5 billion in oil trade. I mean, why Kazakhstan? This lady's claims are so outrageous and at the same time so alarming that I am not surprised she's being endorsed by a Trump child. So, Kelly, back to you on that. I think I've exhausted all I can with her.
The things that she's predicting for the future, that just don't seem to fit the reality that I'm seeing unfolding before my eyes. And I can't believe that some of her followers aren't really starting to question her, because she's been so wrong so many times. And the things she's saying don't seem to be happening. And it just, I don't understand how she still gets people to keep believing her. And you see it all through the right-wing evangelical world. It's not just her. It's people like Greg Locke and Hank Kunneman and my favorite one, Robin Bullock. And they're out there spreading this total misinformation and their version of Christian nationalism, which isn't even Christianity, really. It's something different. And it needs to stop before more people are getting hurt by this kind of a thing. And it goes to show us why it's so important to get up and stand up to this misinformation, because our country's being led down this path to a dystopian theocratic future by a bunch of people, unfortunately, from my generation. Not all of us boomers are bad. Don't count us all out. And we need to wake up to it, or else we might find ourselves as the people who are being put up against the wall. We're like in the third satanic panic that I can think of in the United States, and this one's worse than the other ones were before. The first one targeted social programs and science. They always target science, but it ended up with prohibition, with the Butler law in Tennessee, Scopes monkey trial. Of course, everybody remembers the 1980s satanic panic, when they started targeting games, music, science, and now we're at it again. And again, they're going after science, and they're going after people this time. They're going after a whole community, the LGBTQ community. And it's really important that we stand up, we show them that they have allies, and we protect them from this crazy bunch of people who are really out there to harm others at this point. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say. Infidel, you want to add something to that?
Well, one of the problems that I think that allows these type of people to continue to get away with this type of behavior is the fact that they're so insular. They surround themselves with people who feel the same things, who say the same things, who believe the same things. So when one person says something, there is no fact check. It's immediately truth. I've heard it 3 times before. It has to be true. Not that long ago, I was talking to a relative, and this is a smart guy, and he made the comment to me that, to some of the things that they're teaching children in school, I don't. They make a bigger deal about school guns in school, and I think that what they're teaching them is more important than that. And I'm like, well, so you're telling me you'd rather your kids shot at school than you would them learn something you might disagree with at school? Come on, bring back that rhetoric. And that's the problem. They're so accustomed to existing inside a line of rhetoric like that all they do is just pound away at the same old things. And they go, yep, that's right. Yep, that's right. I heard it 3 or 4 times. I heard it behind the pulpit because, oh my God, we know what exactly goes on behind those and what people say there. And to think that, yeah, it's the norm. It's what they expect. And when it comes down to somebody like this, we can't really expect much from the anybody in the Trump family. I mean, they've shown their willingness to put literally the government itself and our very republic below their personal desires, needs, and quite frankly, greed. So, what can we get from them? Well, pretty much more the same as what I expect, which is pretty damn bad. So the fact that they're on the bus with some person who seems completely unhinged from reality with their predictions and people continue to buy it, yeah, that sounds like pretty much the standard MO of not just the religious right, but let's be honest, it's been the MO for the Republican Party for at least the last 20, 30 years. Just let it ride, go with it. Truth does not matter. Truth is out of style. Jimmy, I'm sure you have something else to say.
Yeah, I do. Regarding the state of maybe politics and government in our country, I think we're seeing a lot of reverberations across the country where monumental decisions like maybe the Dobbs decision that overturned Roe v. Wade are having these rippling effects to where these other societies or these lower levels of societies, these more federated levels of societies at the state and local level are starting to see some confirmation of their views, right? And so they're getting away with a little bit, with being a little bit more risque with their rules and their laws, and they're not being challenged. The Supreme Court is not stepping in and saying, "Hey, this is probably not okay." They're kind of just letting it fly, right? And so we are in a position where we're having these tough conversations, and I think what you said about having a conversation with a really smart family member of yours or a good friend, I think, it really hit home for me because I have these conversations with people I really love and respect, and they are so far off the other end of the spectrum as I am. And it's because they're in these little echo chambers that are getting this recurring confirmation because the legal system, the Supreme Court is not really working in the way that it's supposed to be. I mean, there are no standards that are consistent, right? When something reflects a law that represents the majority of the court, it kind of reverberates into the lower echelons, and we see the same laws kind of take effect. But then when there's something that's inconsistent, that's not worth looking into. That's not worth maybe giving another look and reforming our laws. So, all that to say, mix that with the kind of hysteria that these grifters kind of drive, and we have a perfect storm for a really unstable society. And I think it's really important to kind of stay focused on that and keep having the conversation about those ugly possibilities ahead. So that's all I have. Kelly, back to you.
I don't have much more to add to it. I mean, I've made a lot of good points there. This is a pretty tough conversation to have, and I think it needs to be had. If you'd like to discuss more about it, you can always join our fan run Facebook groups, or the fan run Discord server. And if you'd like to hear more from the nonprofits, you can get us right here.